Good morning. Welcome to SimWorld Today, Wednesday edition, which means it's Marsh joined by the one, the only B-Ron. B-Ron's to Damas. Good morning, B-Ron. How are you?
Good morning, Marsh. The man in the void is back for another episode of SimWorld Today. It's good to be back with you, not in the host chair this time. You're back in that role. Good to be back here with you, man. And let's get going.
So it was a bad night to be a good team in a high-level matchup across SWBA and SimWorld U. We're going to talk SWBA primarily just because we kicked it off. We're also going to talk a little bit of Bama Duke, which we got the tantalizing no camera view ending of. Plus, we'll do our SimWorld U wrap up. But let's start with the Celtics, the defending champions. Steamroll the New York Knicks at home. They tie an SWBA record for made three-pointers in a game they set the opening night, shockingly. SWBA three-point record for single game on opening night. This team looked dominant. They did what they did a lot last season, blow teams out. Your takeaways from opening night in the Celtics romp?
They looked really, really good, Marsh. And you know what? And I don't know if I haven't been keeping up with the discourse around the offseason for the Celtics, but they're my pick to go back to the title game, which is, I don't think it's a surprise. I think most people are saying that because they're the champs and because they've kind of kept the same roster around for the most part. So yeah, I'm not too surprised by this start. I am surprised by how just well they shot the ball in general, though. You know, especially from 3-point land, we saw the record be set. So yeah, I mean, it looked really good, and I'm really pleased with the start for them.
It's going to be hard to beat a team when they make, I think it was 29 three-pointers. Celtics get it. Knicks, something's up with Mikal Bridges. He didn't look good. He has not looked good in preseason. But the Knicks are not a team that are built to play this up-tempo game. Karl Anthony Towns looked exactly like the Karl Anthony Towns that we've grown to know and probably not love in Minnesota. And the Celtics are just good, man. I mean, they won a championship. They've got a very weird little victim complex going on over there. But they won the game. I mean, this is just what they do. The Knicks have a long way to go, and the Celtics have the best depth in the league. This is kind of the second year of their 2-year window before the second apron of the luxury tax is going to be, and potentially new ownership could be very restrictive for this team, but nobody has the depth that the Celtics have, and they showed that last night in dominating fashion with that many threes. Are they that good? We're going to find out. They are definitely very good, and I don't think anybody was expecting them to fall off a cliff, but if you asked any Celtics fan, they'd be hard-pressed to feel the otherwise.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, you know, when a team comes out and they play like this, I think it raises some eyebrows, because, you know, even though they're very good, like you said, you don't expect. It's hard to beat a team when they're playing as like they did last night. So it's a matter of, can they keep that up? Probably not. Marsh, you talk about the laws, averages all the time and that kind of thing. So they're not gonna keep shooting this well. They're not gonna make 29 threes every game. It's not gonna happen. But
sick.
it would be. But if they can even do, you know, half of that on a nightly basis, that's good enough to, I think, be competent and confident in the SWBA.
Yeah, sure can. Let's head to. Sorry, got distracted. That we're gonna get to something very soon. Breaking news. But let's head to the other game of this opening night, which was the historic culmination, the greatest moment in basketball history, when a father and a son took the floor for the first time ever, and his son promptly missed an open three and got scored on by Julius Randle. But of course, the Lakers come away victorious with a win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Lakers start 1-0. Obviously, everyone wants to talk about, well, Bronny and LeBron finally played together. This makes Bronny the GOAT. Let's go to the actual basketball takeaways. I thought the Timberwolves offense looked atrocious. They did not look good. They had no answer for anything that the Lakers offense threw their way. Anthony Edwards at one point tried to get this team rolling by telling them to wake up in the midst of what was like a 17-2 run at one point by the Lakers. There are very serious offensive scoring options, and I'm not saying Karl Anthony Towns' departure is the reason for that, but I think Minnesota's offense, you watch that team last night, and you say, after Anthony Edwards, I'm a little concerned about what I'm going to get.
Yeah, and that's the risk you take when you trade away a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, who, for all intents and purposes, was their, in my opinion, their second, best scorer on the team. But they're gonna have to figure out how to replace that this season. I think they have some guys who could do it. It's just gonna take them some time to figure it out. I I wanted to start. I wanted to start off by saying the Lakers are back is what I would say if I were, a fan of the Lakers, but I'm not. Number one, and number two, LeBron and Bronny, great story. Obviously, not no ifs ands or buts about that, but it's gonna be another rough season in Lakerland. I feel like, even though they won this first game, they're still, got some things figured out over there. So I got nothing to say more about this.
I don't think the Lakers aren't back. They still can't shoot threes. They made 5 of them last night, but this kind of speaks to the whole options thing. Anthony Edwards took 25 shots for the Timberwolves last night. The second most shots was Dante DiVincenzo, 11. He went 3 of 11 off the bench. And then it was Julius Randle, who went 5 of 10. Those were the only 3 Minnesota Timberwolves who shot in double figures. By the way, Anthony Edwards drew even in a game they lost by 7. Mike Conley was team worst, minus 22. I say that to say, on the Lakers side, their entire starting 5 took at least 12 shots during this game. Anthony Davis led the way with 23 on his way to an awesome 36-point, 16 rebound opening night performance. The Timberwolves, I'm just very concerned about their depth. And that's not to say the Lakers have a whole bunch of it. I don't think we're going to get 7-14 from Rui every single night. I do think that Austin Reeves is a really good third option. You're going to get the polarization of D'Angelo Russell. I don't know how good this team is defensively. The fact that they relied on their starters to play 34 minutes plus, and then their entire bench, nobody played more than 17, and that was Gabe Vincent, the 6th man of the year favorite. I'm a little worried, though, about the Timberwolves. Are you going to get anything else on offense? And you signed or you drafted Rob Dillingham because you needed another guy to score, and you didn't even put him in this game. I'm very nervous about Minnesota. It's one game. The sky is not falling. It could be turnarounds. But I'm a little hesitant to really get on the bandwagon of this team has offensive weapons because they're going to be giving Rudy Gobert 35 minutes per game, and he's just going to be Rudy Gobert. Before we get to Duke and Alabama. Actually, no, let's do that first. Duke, Alabama. That was our SimWorld U game of the week, and inclement weather in the Tuscaloosa area knocked out power, knocked out broadcasting ability. The game ended with a doozy. Aiden Weaver misses a 3-point attempt. He makes a 3-point attempt, but the refs reveal after the buzzer it was. And so it's a hold-on win for Duke at number 5 over number 3 Alabama. Duke dominated this first half, and this was a game of 2 halves. Duke didn't really have answers for Alabama in the second half. Alabama didn't really have answers B-Ron for Duke in the first.
Yeah, and that first half, Marsh, that really set the tone for the night. And it seemed like even it seemed like a carryover from the first game of the night too that we saw, which we'll get to in our wrap up. But when you come out the gate struggling like that, it's usually a bad time for the rest of the night. Luckily, though, give credit where it's due to Alabama because they're able to fight back and only lose by the 2 points, thanks to the called back shot by Aiden Weaver. This does bring up a question for me, and I think you and Rick had mentioned it on the broadcast before on the first game. How much does this loss hurt Alabama in terms of their top 25 ranking? Do they only drop one spot like Tennessee did because they lost to Duke by 2 points? Does Duke jump them? Does Duke do they swap spots? How does that work? You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm going with this coming out of the game.
Well, here's my question for Alabama after this one. DJ Childs plays 16 minutes, scores 1 point, goes 0 of 11 from the floor. He was not on the floor for the final couple minutes of this thing as Alabama's making their comeback. He was supposed to be the guy that Alabama relied on. He has not looked like the best player on this team. It has been Quincy Henderson and it has been Dwayne Epps. And while he took 11 shots last night, he did not look comfortable at any point. I think this is a very interesting thing. Duke is 5-1. And it's not because DJ Childs has gone nuclear time and time again. It's not a Lace Darius outlaw situation. It's not a Cooper Flag situation. Childs has really struggled, and I'm curious if that's part of the ankle or if that's just part of who he is as a prospect, because he just hasn't looked like the top tier prospect that we expected to see of him. Now, he's ranked a little bit lower. I personally thought that was a poor ranking for him to be as low as he was. Now it feels a little bit more accurate, which is not a great thing for Alabama as they fall here. To your point about how far do they fall, they still, to me, feel like a top 5 team. They saved that by making this a comeback and not quite getting blown out in this one. But big night from Aiden Weaver. He makes 4 of his 5 3-point attempts. Before we get to our SimWorld U wrap up, real quick, as this is literally breaking news, we don't even have a graphic to throw up for you. But the Kansas City Chiefs are acquiring DeAndre Hopkins from the Tennessee Titans in an SWFL trade. B-Ron, I think that might be the first time you're hearing it. What is your immediate takeaway that the Chiefs are getting Hopkins?
That is insane to me. They're already, top of the league as is right now. People are already upset about the Chiefs being really good. This is going to add more fuel to that fire. And, they get a number 1 back in Hopkins, who, I feel, in my opinion, I feel like he could still be a number 1 receiver, even with his, age and that kind of stuff. He's still DeAndre Hopkins, for crying out loud. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's being finalized, so nothing, we don't know what the pieces are, but somebody needed to go out and get them. I'm surprised that the San Francisco 49ers, I wouldn't be shocked if we hear that they were in hot pursuit of Hopkins as well, because their wide receiver room is in even worse shape than the Chiefs. But this is a absolutely awesome acquisition for the Chiefs. You're without Rashee Rice. You can't really have Xavier Worthy be your number 1. Truthfully, the other guys in that locker room that are wide receivers, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, McCole Hardman, none of those dudes are number 1s. Is DeAndre Hopkins prime DeAndre Hopkins? Obviously not. But this guy is going to be the type of player that makes you relevant again in terms of dominant wide receivers. And to your point, this has been a surprising Chiefs 6-0, and they just got a heck of a lot better. All right, let's head to our SimWorld U wrap-up. It's a long one, so I'm going to take a deep breath here, and then we're going to power through every single one, but let's get rolling. This starts with Dayton and Marquette, 87-67 win for Dayton, their second of the season. Caden Tuttle leads the way with 24 points, buries 6 triples for Dayton in this one. Texas, UConn made no bones about it. Reed Redmond, 26 points on the way to a 95-68 win for the Huskies. Florida gets their 3rd win of the season after a slow start, 86-75. Tyshawn Esom, 22. Trey Wills, 21. How about 10 assists from Jackson Glenn? Georgia Tech beats rival Georgia 81-76. Donta Walker with 25 points for the 14th ranked Yellow Jackets. Duke Bama, we talked about it. It was all Cooper Flag in the first half before a big comeback from Bama, but a late 3-pointer not counted as Duke holds on for a 69-67 win. Kansas taking on Virginia Tech. Actually, we got Oklahoma on the screen. Let's go to that one. It's 39 points from Floyd Henderson. 108-79 blowout win over Colorado State. Oklahoma State falls at home to LSU. 18 points from Jay Slaughter to get things rolling, and LSU has their first win of the season. Head out to Auburn, where a triple-double, the first one at that time of the season from Lace Darius Outlaw. 109-68 blowout, 37-10, 10, and 4. But that would, of course, be Followed up in 1 second. Mississippi State beats Stanford 78-70, number 19th ranked team in the country with the win. Head out to Washington State, where the Cougs beat Villanova 89-84. Javonte Russell with 20 points for the 22nd ranked Washington State team. And then out to Oregon we go, a 70-56 win for Kansas State on the road. Oregon still without a win on the season. There was another triple-double in this season as you get some last-second highlights from Texas and UConn. Jabbar Wilson with a 14, 10, and 10. There are now 2 triple-doubles in SimWorld U, and they came with it about 5-10 minutes of each other wrapping up. That was in Kansas's 91-85 win. All right, we can breathe again. Oxygen can return to my head. That's our show. We're coming back tomorrow. There is, a whole bunch of coverage still going on today on this Wednesday, October 23rd. The number 2 team in the nation, Tennessee, hosts Baylor at 8:30. That's on SimWorld TV. That is our first broadcast game. And then number 6, UCLA, takes on San Diego State at 10 p.m. We've got a handful of top 25 teams and top 10 teams specifically in action. Kentucky against Iowa State. North Carolina takes on Butler as well for our top 10 teams in action. All right, we're coming back tomorrow with JR Storm. B-Ron, as always, it is great to see you. We look forward to hearing you on the broadcast. You got any more broadcasts this week, B-Ron?
I should be on the Tennessee game tonight.
Tennessee game. Who do you got in the Tennessee game then?
I'm going to take Tennessee. I like what Baylor's doing, but Tennessee is...
I don't like what Baylor's doing. All right, that's our show. We're back tomorrow. We'll recap it all. More SWBA action as well. B-Ron, thank you for coming on. We'll talk to you on Thursday here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.